We used to have to extra prepare for the referees.
Oh, my God!
Americans love to second guess.
The refs are taking them out of the game.
And there's nothing like a controversial call to bring it up.
Everyone loves to blame the officials.
There's always going to be issues with officials because they're human beings too, like players are.
We are getting some dishonest officiating right there. You didn't see that? 7 of you didn't see it. 7 of you.
Legacies can be born or killed with one flag or one non-call.
People say one play cannot determine the outcome of a game. Well, guess what? That's not so.
Hey, that's the difference in winning and losing. That's a bad call, man. He got a block.
I've hollered and screamed at an awful lot of officials through my days.
That's a terrible call.
But, you know, I often am amazed at how right they are most of the time.
But being right doesn't necessarily quiet the critics.
The best game we can work is if nobody's talking about us afterwards.
Not going to happen in this show. This is Top 10 Controversial Calls.
The number 10 most controversial call of all time, the Holy Roller.
Can you believe it? Touchdown Raiders.
To me, it was just a fumble that turned into a touchdown.
I think the Holy Roller is a great name for it because I go to church on Sunday. I believe in the big guy. He was there.
Oakland trails 20-14. 10 seconds left. Stay with that. Here comes the rush. He sidesteps. Can he throw? He can. The ball. Flip forward is loose. A wild scramble. 2 seconds on the clock. Casper grabbing the ball. It is rolled a fumble. Casper is recovered in the end zone. The Oakland Raiders have scored on the most zany, unbelievable, absolutely impossible dream of a play.
Referee Jerry Markwright presided over the chaos.
Every once in a while, I see the play on television, and I cringe every time I see it. Madden was out on the field screaming, "Did we win? Did we win?" I said, "You won."
Madden is on the field. He wants to know if it's real. They said yes. Get your big butt out of here. He does.
They're saying it's a touchdown? You got to be kidding me.
There's nothing real in the world anymore.
If Jerry Markwright were to walk in this room right now, I'd tell him he blew it.
He was never too complimentary about my officiating.
And I'm looking at this and saying, stop it, they can't do this, this is illegal.
It was funny. It was a bending of the rules. It was just a Raider ending of all endings.
At that time, anybody could advance a forward fumble, and there was no restriction in terms of the down. There was no restriction in terms of the time.
But fumbling the ball on purpose was not allowed, something Ken Stabler was accused of doing.
From my position behind him, I have to rule fumble. I don't see any kind of action by him at all.
For nearly 30 years, Stabler supported that finding.
So it was just, answering that same old question over and over and over. Was it a fumble? Did he fumble on purpose? Was it a legitimate fumble? And you go back and look at the films over and over and over, and it was a fumble.
But new evidence has finally come to light.
You convinced us that he didn't flip that ball underhand?
No, I can't convince you of that, because I did. I mean, what else was I going to do with it? Throw it out there. Shake the dice.
This one will be relived forever.
The NFL adopted instant replay in 1986, but the early results were mixed.
Well, it was a guy in a three-piece suit that was standing in the press box. They got to stop the game as many times as he wanted to. Destined that system to fail.
Bears coach Mike Ditka would agree. In a 1989 game against Green Bay, Don Majkowski was called for crossing the line of scrimmage on his winning touchdown pass.
Throws it back again. Penalty marker is down. There's a penalty marker down back near the 20.
Even though the call was correctly reversed, the Bears still believed they were wrong.
After further review, we have a reversal.
The Bear press guide in succeeding years, they had an asterisk next to that game. They called it the instant replay game.
They didn't tell the NFL we think we got robbed. No, we know we got robbed. We got an asterisk. We're not going to count it.
21 years later, the Bears were on the winning side of a controversial replay. This time it upheld the call of an incomplete pass to Calvin Johnson.
Hill back. Got to get rid of it. Throws once Calvin in the end zone. Goes up. Got it. And the Lions take the lead with 24 seconds left. They're saying incomplete. When he came down, the football touched the ground. The rule is you have to hang on through the fall.
A rule that once again needed a look under the hood and led to our ninth most controversial call.
The number 9 controversial call of all time. The Cowboys live and die by the flag.
Completed or intercepted pass. Article 3.
A. Secures control of the ball in his hands or arms.
And B. Touches the ground in bounds with both feet or with any part of his body other than his hands.
Maintains control of the ball long enough.
After A and B have been fulfilled to, I don't even understand what's happening here.
Boy, that's totally clear, isn't it? Totally black and white.
So with all that being said, Dez Bryant caught the ball, in my opinion.
In the 2014 divisional round matchup between Dallas and Green Bay, the Cowboys faced a fourth down late in the game, needing a touchdown to take the lead.
Bryant caught the ball. Oh, my goodness. They have thrown the challenge flag.
I think they're challenging the catch.
What are they challenging?
To me, the idea of catching a ball is so it doesn't touch the ground. That's the very basis of a catch.
Should be touchdown. That's a catch.
Yeah, that's a catch. Dez made a catch.
He's got to control it all the way to the ground.
By the NFL's rule, it's not a catch.
That's the Calvin Johnson ball. Yeah. It has been determined that the receiver did not maintain.
And the Packers hang on for the win.
I'm trying to reach over the goal line. Why is that not a catch? I'm trying to reach over the goal line.
Everybody loves when Dallas lose the same way they beat somebody.
1 week earlier, Dallas was trailing Detroit by 3 and needed a crucial third down stop to have a chance to win the game.
It's 3rd and 1. They're going to play fake. He's back to throw. Throws deep, incomplete. No flag. There it is. Yes, sir. That'll be pass interference on the Cowboys.
Now, they're going to pick up the flag.
Wow.
Boy, that was late. Hey, Pete, that's unbelievable. That's unbelievable, and you know it. You know it is, though.
That was organized confusion right there. I don't understand that one. Make a call, live with it.
I don't think that's ever happened before. It was bizarre watching that.
I cannot recall that a penalty is called and then the penalty's taken away.
Congratulations, man. First time in the history that's happened.
Did the Cowboys' controversial finish against Detroit lead a higher power to provide an inevitable finish against the Packers the following week?
Definitely football karma.
Karma played a role in his football gods.
Football gods?
Football gods.
NFL Lord giveth, and the NFL Lord taketh away. Yes, she does. It is a woman. Yes, she does.
The number 8 most controversial call of all time. Super Bowl 40.
I'm going to walk out there and go to my left. Don't run me over.
Seahawks fans will tell you they were run over by the guys in stripes in Super Bowl XL.
To this day, Seattle Seahawks fans boo referees.
In that Super Bowl where there's some ticky-tack fouls, yes.
It's on you.
You ruined the game that way.
Matt's going to throw. Looks to the end zone. Now he scrambles. Has some running room. Now he fires to the end zone. Touchdown, Seahawks! Now I see a flag. Did a flag come out back there or no?
Flag came out. I think the
Seahawks.
Offensive pass interference against Darrell Jackson.
Ooh, that was a ticky-tacky call.
People say, oh, it's just a knick-knack foul, but it was a foul. That's what the rules or states.
But it was a very little push. I don't know how you call that.
That was so early in the game that it kind of really changed the whole complexion of it. Rather than getting the touchdown, they settle for a field goal, and then it allows the Steelers to take the early lead. The Seahawks are kind of in a catch-up mode the rest of the game.
Roethlisberger on a quarterback sneak. Tries to dive in. He's close. Let's see. Touchdown.
I don't think he got in on the sneak. I think his knee touched down before he got over the goal line.
That's another one of those, judgment calls where you can look at that from all kinds of different angles.
That ball never crossed the goal line. That ball looked like it hit the right line. I don't think it did. I promise you that ball looked like it hit the right line.
If you see some of the angles, he broke that plane, and that's all that's required. If he doesn't make it in then, they get another shot at it anyway.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
Seattle had time to make up for the questionable calls, and they nearly did.
Got a man wide open. Touchdown!
Until another controversial call prevented them from taking a fourth-quarter lead.
Down to the 1-yard line is Jeremy Stevens. The flag is down. Oh, my goodness, it's coming back.
Holding. Number 75 offense.
That guy was offside. Clearly jumped the gun. Was in the neutral zone. Literally, Sean had no choice but to almost reach out and slow him down.
That's the kind of stuff that happens on every play in every NFL game. It took away a pass down to the 1-yard line, which probably would have allowed him to punch it in and make it more of a game.
The game is over. The Pittsburgh Steelers did it the hard way.
You talk about a game smelling of orchestration. That game stunk to high heaven. It left you feeling dirty by the time you turned it off because you're like, that wasn't what I was looking for.
I don't think they got robbed. I think they lost fair and square. They didn't come up with big plays when they needed them.
We knew it was going to be tough going against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I didn't know we were going to have to play the guys in the striped shirts as well.
That might be the title of one of the chapters of my book, Seattle Sour Grapes.
The bottom line was we won the game, and I don't think the penalties had anything to do with that.
Controversy and the Oakland Raiders went hand in hand in the 1970s. The Raiders felt the league had it out for them. Exhibit A, the 1977 AFC Championship game in Denver, known in Oakland as the Rob Lytle game.
Rob Lytle gets hit in the championship game in Denver. Clearly, Tatum hit him and he fumbled the ball. What happens? They give the ball to Denver. They go on to the Super Bowl.
Clear fumble. The guy's up in the air, not on the ground, up in the air, and the ball is knocked out. Referee say blew the whistle. Excuse me?
But don't let the Raiders tell you they never got any breaks, as witnessed by number 7 on our list.
The number 7 most controversial call of all time. The 1976 AFC Wild Card.
The nation was celebrating its 200th birthday. Apparently, it was a good year to be a Patriot.
When I came here, the Patriots weren't a part of the Boston community. We were down the road and an afterthought. It was the Celtics, the Red Sox, and the Bruins that people talked about all the time.
Rarely a contender, the Patriots were a playoff team in 1976.
That was a team that went from 3-11 to 11-3. It was an exciting team to be a fan of. It captured your imagination.
They were the best team in football, and they got screwed.
The Patriots handed the Raiders their head earlier that season.
They had a good team. They beat us pretty good. They manhandled us, you know? We were glad that we got a chance to play them again.
New England was in position to hand Oakland its second loss of the year. With less than 2 minutes remaining, Raiders quarterback Ken Stabler threw incomplete on 3rd and 18, but the Raiders were thrown a life preserver.
Goes incomplete on our sideline, and then we see the flag, and then they call the roughing the passer. And I look at the replay and I said, you gotta be kidding me.
Defensive lineman Ray Sugar Bear Hamilton, number 71, was flagged for our number 7 controversial call.
There's just no way to get around it to me. That was a terrible call. It changed the whole game.
I just figured that somebody had held one of our guys. I just knew that's what it was. It couldn't have been anything else. I was totally shocked. It was just a phantom, bogus call.
Bang. You come and hit the quarterback after he threw the ball.
If you watch Ray Hamilton hitting Ken Stabler, he kind of roughed the hell out of him.
Was it called a lot in those days? No. But did it happen? Yes. Was I happy it happened? Yes. Or we don't go to the Super Bowl.
With the Ray Hamilton penalty, we kind of lost our composure, and they easily walked down the field.
Rolling to the left. He's going to go. Woo! Runs it in.
You know, they probably had a good right beating us that day, I think.
It kicked off a 20-year era of dysfunction that could stand up against anybody's.
That team didn't get back to a game to put them in position to go to the Super Bowl until 1985. That opportunity, that window of opportunity was there in '76, slammed shut, still difficult to live with.
The number 6 most controversial call of all time, the 2002 NFC Wild Card.
If you put yourself in a position to lose, you might lose, unfortunately.
That didn't seem like it was going to be a problem for the Giants.
He's looking for Toomer, and he's got it for a touchdown!
When they raced out to what seemed to be an insurmountable lead.
Their crowd was about ready to go shopping.
I remember looking at the scoreboard thinking I was going to have a staff meeting after the season. I was going to say everybody has got to say honestly what they were thinking when the score was 38-14.
But Jeff Garcia led the 49ers on a comeback for the ages.
They needed everything to go right, and it went right.
Garcia has time, throws for the end zone. Caught! Touchdown 49ers! What a comeback!
With just 6 seconds to go, the Giants were in position for a comeback of their own.
We await the snap.
Here it comes, it's a bad snap, and now they're going to have to try to throw for it.
Matt Allen can't get it down. He's trying to throw it. He just heaves it downfield. He throws it, and it's incomplete.
I just jump out of my easy chair and I screamed at the top of my lungs, "That's interference!"
Or was it an illegal man downfield?
The flag was for ineligible receiver downfield, but it was not for pass interference.
Game is over! 49ers win!
The officials blew it. There's no question they blew it. Rich Seibert was the man downfield that was tackled by Chike O'Keefer. But Seibert was actually an eligible receiver instead of an offensive lineman on that play.
When I got down to the officials' locker room, they knew they were dead because they saw the replays and they knew that they had missed the call.
We didn't care. The game was over to us. I ran in.
Coach Mariucci knew. We just got away with something. Let's get our gear and go.
I went to the replay booth and I saw that the receiver who was downfield was eligible. So it should have been pass interference, should have been an offset, should have replayed the down, which obviously could have had a difference in the outcome.
But the controversy surrounding our number 6 call wasn't over. The next day, the league issued a statement admitting the mistake.
The next day, Steve Mariucci comes down from his office to meet reporters, and somebody says to Mariucci, "The league says they blew the call, Coach. What do you say?" And Mooch paused for a long time. He said, "Bummer."
It gave the league some credibility that if it really screws up, it will admit it. If the league uniformly said it was right, it would have no credibility when it was defending a controversial call.
The number 5 most controversial call of all time, the Hail Mary.
Wait, was this the one? Was this in the regular season? Yes. Replacement refs.
A correction on the reporting of the foul. Both teams were on the both fouls were on the kicking team. 5-yard penalty.
Did you write that down? Due to the labor dispute between the NFL and NFL Referees Association, the 2012 season began with replacement referees littering the field with missed calls.
You better check your record book, buddy, because that's a foul.
Those fake refs were terrible.
Watch the official throw his hat on the right side of your screen. He throws his hat right in the path of Ogletree, who steps on it.
They're just taking these guys off the street, and when you get fake refs, this is what you get.
Sky!
Our number 5 most controversial call also happened to be the replacement referee's last one.
Now Russell Wilson is going to be looking at the biggest play of his young pro career, a 4th down and 10 with 8 seconds remaining. Back at the 40, lets it fly to the end zone. Going to give his guys a chance. Going up, coming down. Does he come down with it?
It's got to be an interception.
I'm not disputing that fact.
I can't believe they had 2 officials right there, and they ruled in favor of Seattle.
It sure looks like number 43 for the Packers. He's got the ball in his hands, and all Golden Tate's trying to do is just find the ball somewhere as he falls down. They got the back judge coming along the back line. They got the side judge coming, and they meet at the convergence. One guy signal, touchdown. Another guy signals interception. Which one is it?
This is deciding who wins the game on this call.
They're calling the field stands. Touchdown.
You gotta be kidding me.
The fact that it was reviewed is awful. That's all I'm going to say about it.
Don't be crying about the Hail Mary. You got to be crying that you got out hit. And guess what? They won the game, so get on your plane and go home.
I don't think anybody could believe what they were seeing.
Upon further review, the Golden Tate catch wasn't the only controversial call missed on that play.
Golden Tate gets away with one of the most blatant offensive pass interference calls I've ever seen.
Did you push off?
I don't know what you're talking about. We'd seen all of these gaffes for 3 straight weeks. And it came to this climax in this one moment on Monday night. And I think they had to make the change. And it was the right change.
That was ultimately the single play that triggered the regular NFL refs back on the field.
Good.
Thank you for doing everything that you've done to help make this happen. Huh?
Could have used you last week.
Yes.
It's a short season. Every game matters. This could actually affect the playoffs. And guess what? It did.
If San Francisco would have had to come to Green Bay, who knows what the outcome would have been. But that call had a huge impact on what kind of season the Packers could have ended up having.
Thank you. Good luck with everything.
By the way, Green Bay, if you're good, you go win the next playoff game anyway. I mean, that's the deal. You're still in the playoffs. Go win the game.
The number 4 most controversial call of all time. Mike Renfro's catch.
He's in!
I have watched that 1,000 times, and if I were asked to bet my house, could not bet my house either way.
The Love You Blue Oilers of 1979 were known as something less affectionate in Pittsburgh, the site of that year's AFC Championship game.
It's not a very friendly environment for the visitors.
The Oilers came in looking to avenge their playoff loss from the previous year.
The score of last year's American Conference Championship game was 34-5. The Steelers walloping the Houston Oilers, but the Steelers are not at all counting on another blowout of the Oilers. They're counting on a tough football game.
Oilers quarterback Dan Pastorini was under siege all day, but trailing by 7 late in the 3rd quarter, he moved Houston into position to tie the game.
Dan calls the old get the snap, throw it to the corner, play we see every Sunday many times.
And here's the quick shot as they throw it out to the far side, and it is caught out of bounds.
I think he had 2 feet in. I got to say what I'm seeing. And he scored a touchdown on that.
See 2 feet in. Renfro is upset. Nobody is called to play.
The only thing I remember is seeing the eyes of the official on that side. He looked like he'd seen a ghost.
The official did not make any signal.
It's a touchdown. He's in. He was in. Damn it.
He did not signal touchdown or out of bounds and basically waved for help.
It was a tough call, and this might be a spot where an instant replay would be important. Let's see if the feet come down. Now he's got the ball. He does really get inside. It is a touchdown. No question about it.
With instant replay, it would have been different. If you're watching it in your living room back home during that minute or 2 delay while they decided what the call was, they kept running it, and it became pretty clear, if not real clear, that it was a catch.
Only one problem for the Oilers, however.
The officials do not have the luxury that we enjoy of seeing that instant replay. And now the Oilers are denied a touchdown. Oh, my.
Maybe that's the way they could justify the call, is they didn't really see it.
A late touchdown sealed the Steelers' second straight AFC crown, but not the discussion about our number 4 call.
I think it was a touchdown. I disagree with the referee totally. I think it was a bad call. I think we did score, but, you can't change their minds.
Do you think when they hesitated like that the officials became intimidated by the crowd?
Well, if they were in Houston, it might have gone the other way. That's how much a crowd can, differ refs.
The fact is, of course you hear the crowd. You just have to not allow it to influence either your play or, in the case of an official, your decision-making.
Of course, no official likes to be in the middle of controversy, and this show is not about pointing fingers. But it wouldn't be complete without mentioning the one official who, in the late 1990s, became a household name.
You're talking about Luckett?
Phil Luckett's bad luck began on Thanksgiving Day, 1998.
Call it plays in there. Heads is the call. He said heads. It is a tails.
It certainly sounded like that Bettis said tails.
He said heads.
But Phil went with the call of heads.
He said heads, tails.
Heads, tails. Or tails, heads.
Phil Luckett had officiated a lot of games before that. You didn't think of his name. You didn't think of his face. And then all you thought about after that was bewilderment.
All eyes and ears were on Luckett again the following week in New York. Luckett got the coin toss right, but another controversy was still ahead.
Quarterback draw, Testaverde to the goal line, touchdown!
Testaverde was clearly short of the end zone, and Luckett unfairly took the blame.
That really was not his call, but he happened to be the referee.
1 year later, Luckett found himself in the middle of the next call on our countdown.
The number 3 most controversial call of all time, the Music City Miracle.
It's a miracle!
It's not a miracle. It was a crime. It was a fraud perpetrated on the streets of Nashville.
Do the Titans have a miracle left in them?
Yeah, that one was pretty amazing.
If they do, they need it now.
You're talking about sheer drama in that situation. My goodness.
Buffalo was leading 16-15 with just 16 seconds to go. What happened next was anyone's guess.
Christie kicks it high and short. Going to be fielded by Lorenzo Neal at the 25. Pitches it back to Wycheck. He throws it across the field to Dyson.
He's got something.
30.
And down the sideline, only Christie down there to stop.
He's got
40,
something.
50,
He's got it.
40,
He's got it.
20, 10.
He's got it.
End zone. Touchdown Titans. There are no flags on the field. Tennessee has pulled a miracle.
When it first happened, you instantly thought, there's no way. There is absolutely no way that this is not a forward pass.
I didn't feel bad when they ran it back because I thought they were going to call it back.
I watched the play and said, oh my God, that's a forward pass. That's going to be reversed.
Will they review the backwards pass to make sure it's a backwards pass?
It's totally a forward pass. No question about it. It's physics.
I saw him throw it forward, and I thought, well, this is why we voted for instant replay right here.
You have to see where he throws the ball from. You can't look at the body.
It's where the ball is to where the ball goes.
That's what I'm saying.
It was one of the most unusual plays in that it happened on a solid line. If you watch the solid line, you can see the progression of the ball going backwards. Not a lot, but going backward. Certainly not going forward.
So what you're saying is that if it goes parallel to the line and not forward, then that's illegal.
The man who would have to make the ultimate decision on our number 3 call was none other than Phil Luckett.
I know this probably sounds kind of crazy, but I didn't look at Phil Luckett, in that vein of saying, oh my God, it's Phil. Oh my God.
This call could go either way, Pat.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands. It was a lateral.
Titans win.
I don't know how hard I want to criticize the guy. I mean, what happens in that stadium if they overturn that call and change it? I mean, can you imagine? I think human nature might be like, it's close, I'll just give it to them. We can all get out of here.
I had mathematicians sending me formulas, and they were showing me scientifically how it could not have been backwards, that it had to be forward.
At the end of the day, the worst crime from the Bills' standpoint is that they let themselves be beat under those circumstances.
You gotta be on the lookout for that stuff in that situation.
Pass interference has already shown up twice on our countdown, but perhaps it's because it's the one call that's the most difficult.
Pass interference!
There is so much gray area in what happens down the field.
Hey, looking back for the ball.
We're running downfield and the ball's coming, and now I have to determine, A, is the ball catchable? B, did the contact come before the ball arrived? And C, was the contact enough to impede your progress to get to the ball?
Two pass interference calls that did not make our list both involved the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, the Cowboys need a miracle.
In 1975, the phrase Hail Mary was introduced into the American lexicon by America's team. But on the play, Drew Pearson could have easily been called for offensive pass interference.
Touchdown! What you believe in?
The Cowboys dismissed the non-call, saying the contact was merely incidental. Just 3 years later, the Cowboys would be singing a different tune in Super Bowl 13.
Bradshaw fires it long, lays it way downfield. There's Swan trying to get to the ball, and the flags go down. Swan is tripped up by Benny Barnes.
I mean, is there a worse call in football than that call?
The Steelers got the call and momentum en route to their third Super Bowl crown in 5 years. While that call helped build the Steelers dynasty, the next call on our countdown started another.
The number 2 most controversial call of all time, the tuck rule.
Here he is, bearing down on Brady, calls the football.
One of the most heinous crimes ever committed against a team was that tuck rule.
Snowy Foxborough Stadium was the setting for one of the most memorable games in NFL history.
If you love football to be played in the elements, this is your night.
It was like a snow globe. Giant flakes falling down all night long.
But the surreal surroundings had nothing on the surreal ending.
The weather was secondary in that game because of how it played itself out, because it all came down to the tuck.
Tom Brady had been under heavy pressure from the Raiders all day, and with the score 13-10 with under 2 minutes to go, it was time for our number 2 most controversial call.
I started to throw the ball to the left, and the defensive lineman was standing there, and as I was coming down to recock it and get the ball out to the running back, that's when I got hit.
Here he is, buried down on Brady, calls the football. Beacon dives on the ball. The Raiders have the ball.
Just saw the ball on the ground. I saw them recover, and I'm thinking our season's over.
I was so pissed. I couldn't believe that I'd fumbled the ball to lose the game.
The Raiders are going back to the AFC Championship game.
And next thing you know, the referee starts doing this, and they say they want to review it.
The play is going to be reviewed, though, Greg.
Wow.
Review it whether it was a fumble or not, I guess.
Was his arm coming forward?
There was some confusion as to what they were doing. Hey, what's the holdup?
No, that's a fumble. That's a fumble. That is a fumble, and Beacon recovered.
The world was about to become intimately familiar with the tuck rule.
When a teammate player is holding the ball to pass it forward, any intentional forward movement
Of his hand starts a forward pass.
even if the player loses possession
of the ball as he is attempting
to tuck it back toward his body.
After reviewing the play, the quarterback's arm was going forward. It is an incomplete.
All right. Patriots retain the ball. Yes, I know the tuck rule was in the books, but that was a fumble.
This is an abomination of a rule, and if I were the Raiders, I would on that rule every morning when I got out of bed. It's a terrible rule.
And I can understand why people would say it's a stupid rule, because the intent at that point is not to throw the ball.
But I still don't know what this tucking thing is. Obviously, I never will. I think I probably am blocking this out intentionally.
When you start forward, you have a pass now, even though the ball's still in your hand.
Now I'm lost again. Like, what exactly are we even talking about here?
It takes away the decision that you have to make. Does it come out here? Does it come out here? Here?
But what about when he had both hands on it, when it was stripped?
If you now decide to bring the ball back, and in that motion, you're starting to tuck it back to your body. If you are hit or the ball comes out, it is still a pass.
If I were a quarterback, I would just drop back and keep going like this, because then you can't fumble. Just keep going like this. No one's ever going to strip you, while you're looking downfield.
It was a heyday for Raider conspiracy theorists. That's a rule that hasn't been used before nor since, only with the Raiders.
They can complain all they want. Not going to change anything.
Tuck rule cost us a chance to go to the Super Bowl, and I'm still bitter about that.
The Patriots won the game in overtime and went on to win the Super Bowl, kicking off a dynasty in New England.
And now the #1 most controversial call of all time, the Immaculate Reception.
Immaculate Reception was the all-time worst call in the history of the NFL.
That's the biggest goof by the officials in the NFL that I've ever seen.
Our #1 controversial call came against a team that always feels like they're coming out on the wrong side of the flag.
If we had had instant replay in the 70s, we'd have probably been in 10 Super Bowls.
Here's where the conspiracy exists in Al Davis's mind. You know, he's always believed that all the officials are coming at him because of this grand conspiracy. It isn't out there.
Hey, you jerk! You big jerk! You ever called one on them? There were so many calls against us. It used to drive us crazy. So we used to have to extra prepare for the referees.
The 1972 AFC playoff between Oakland and Pittsburgh was a hard-hitting defensive affair. When Ken Stabler scrambled for a fourth-quarter touchdown, the Raiders took a 7-6 lead. But the Steelers played by the adage, it ain't over until it's over, and left us with a fantastic and most controversial finish.
I remember getting in the huddle before that play, and all we said, no penalties, no penalties, we're going to win this game. Give him 40 yards, the game's over.
At the time, rules stated 2 offensive players could not touch the ball in succession, which could have erased the league's most memorable play.
Downfield. And there's a collision. That's caught out of the air. The ball is pulled in by Franco Harris. Harris is going for a touchdown for Pittsburgh.
I run out on the field, and they say, we don't know what happened. I said, I know you don't know what happened. I'll tell you what happened. I said, it hit Frenchie Fuqua. It's illegal. Franco Harris can't get, well, they told me to get the hell off the field. Now the referee goes over to the dugout and picks up the telephone and talks to someone on the telephone. And who he talked to or what he talked about, I have no idea. And then he hung up and came out and said touchdown.
Franco Harris pulled in the football. I don't even know where it came from.
In Oakland, they still believe that it hit not Jack Tatum, but Frenchie Fuqua, which would have defied all laws of physics, but nevertheless, that's what they believe, which would have made that catch by Franco illegal.
No way. How could Jack hit a football like that and take, come on.
The ball clearly, maybe not clearly, but it certainly looked to me like it went from Steeler to Steeler, which of course was illegal in those days. It looked to me like it hit the ground like Franco trapped it, which is illegal in that or any other era.
With the possible exception of the Zapruder film, there's been no piece of footage ever poured over more than that.
I still don't know whether it was the worst call ever, and I don't know if anybody does.
There still doesn't exist the angle shot by a camera to tell us whether or not it was a legal play.
Can you imagine? The Immaculate Reception. Who gave it that name? The Immaculate Deception. That's what it is.
I know in my heart that when the referees got together to debate the call, they said, look, if we rule this incomplete, we're not getting out of Three River Stadium alive.
People say that the referee came out and said to the security man, can you protect our lives? And the guy said no, so he said touchdown.
And now every time I go into the Pittsburgh airport, they got a statue of him over there like this, catching the ball. I got to see this play over and over again every time I go to Pittsburgh.
From out of nowhere came Franco Harris, riding a white stallion.
Frenchie Fuqua, when he asked Mr. Rooney about it, said, Mr. Rooney, should I tell the truth? Should I tell people what really happened? Mr. Rooney said, Frenchie, keep the play immaculate. Did the ball hit the ground? Did the ball hit Frenchie Fuqua up? Did it hit Jack Tatum? No one will ever know.
Instant replay wouldn't have changed our #1 controversial call, and it hasn't put an end to second guessing. As long as the game is played and officiated by human beings, Controversies will exist, and maybe the game is better off because of it.